Welcome to the pre-game week 13 video. So this week kicks off with Watford and Manchester United, and ever since Watford lost against Arsenal at home, I think they've really shown that they can cope in this league. They've scored a good number of goals. I think most people worry about Watford in terms of survival was, are they going to score enough goals? And Igalo has stepped up, so has Didi, and as an overall team, they look like a very good defensive outfit. And you have to give credit to Kike Flores. It's ice time as Valencia, manager, and now as Watford coach, he's shown that he is definitely capable of creating a team with a very good defensive record, which he has done at Watford. Maynard, on the other hand, turn up to this game without Martial and Rooney. Martial's value has gone down to 7.9, and he's a player I'm not really, kind of, how would you say it? You know, I'm not really tempting individuals, playing the game to really look at Martial. He's not someone I basically recommend because, end of the day, he's playing in a position where I think he probably get less of the chances. And the assist that he got that was very late in the game, in the 2-0 win against West Brom. And ideally, Rooney being injured would have been an opportunity for Martial, but even then, he's not fit, and it looks like maybe Depay might get, chosen, and this could be an opportunity for him to resurrect his first team, aspirations for the season. In terms of the actual game, look, Van Gaal has got some great results. Let's not get mistaken with the facts that he got a very good win at Goodison Park, when I think most people would have thought, okay, Maynard will struggle here, and defensively been very strong. So I see potentially a 0-0, maybe a Maynard win. And in terms of individual players that I recommend, Matta's value's gone up to 8.8 from 8.7. He's a player I'll look at. And if you really want to go for a risk, look at Depay. So yeah, in terms of the Chelsea Norwich game, now I don't know what the odds are for Chelsea finishing in top four, but if they're gonna start the season, it's probably a good time to start now if they want to really put a serious challenge for the top four. Because in terms of the fixtures coming up, they're not so bad. But I think the issue is confidence. No one actually thinks that Chelsea will score enough goals. If you look at the performances, they've been lacking goals and defensively look very bad. So I think if anything, people don't look like they will be getting Chelsea players in. The intake of Chelsea players has been very low this week, and yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a Chelsea defender and you're an Ivanovic fan, because he has that potential of getting relatively higher points as a offensive defender, then he's valued at 6.5. He's probably the lowest, in the sense that that's probably going to be his lowest value this year, unless he gets more injuries or if he gets a suspension. Um, it's probably be the lowest this year. In terms of the actual result, look, it depends on how actually Norwich turn up to this game. So if Alex Neil goes to this game with a very defensive mindset, I think they'll give Chelsea too much possession, and we've seen the crowd at Stamford Bridge very much in support of Jose Mourinho, and I could see Chelsea at the end just overhauling Norwich. However, if Norwich approach this game with an attacking mindset like Southampton did, then we could see a game, and you just never know, because Chelsea are very, shaky so far this season. In terms of Everton Villa, Everton are doing very good now with better fixtures coming up, and which was mentioned earlier. It was mentioned, that at the start of November that relatively the fixtures compared to what they had before will become on paper easier, and that's shown to be the case. Lukaku's value has gone up to 8.7. The Lefebvre value, I think, has gone up to 6.3. Those are the two players I look at, along with Barclays. Barclays has not been involved in the last 6 goals. Well, 6 or 7 goals actually that Everton have scored, but I still think he's a player that will be involved. We saw him away to Southampton. I think he got a goal and assist, so he's a player I look at. For Villa, on the other hand, I think it's Remy Gards. He's had some time now during the international break to work with the players, and it's a case of seeing what he can add offensively. Because I think Villa have had a lot of problems scoring goals, on the show at the start of the season, and whether he can actually sort that out. That's one thing. Also, the second thing, I don't think he's a very good defensive coach, and we've got to give him credit that he did get a clean sheet against City, but yeah, maybe the good thing is that this is a away game, so maybe he might approach this naturally quite on the back foot and not go for it. But I'll be surprised because at Lyon he showed himself to be a very much an offensive minded coach. So I expect to see goals, and we have to judge Villa kind of you know in a fresh way because there is a new manager here, and we need to see what kind of principles he embeds in his team. In terms of the Newcastle and Leicester game now, the way Leicester have approached this season and going for it in every game, it's kind of how we want to watch football. Um, Definitely has been refreshing, and deservedly they're 1 point off. I think they play some very good football, but there's no doubt it does leave them open, and that's why they've kept so few clean sheets this season. In regards to Newcastle, the form has definitely picked up. Important 3 points at Bournemouth when they didn't necessarily play their best, but they grabbed that result. And I'm sure Steve McLaren will say, 3 points doesn't matter how you perform. It's always better than performing great and getting 1 or 0 points. And this is the type of game I actually think that Newcastle won't lose. So I'll be surprised to see if Newcastle loses based on the form and how they've been performing recently. And if Leicester will be about Vardy, Kramaric and Okazaki don't provide that same, you could say, pace to stretch Newcastle's back line, I think that will further give more impetus for Newcastle to go get 3 points. So yeah, that's what I will say. Southampton and Stoke. Look, I think Southampton are better squad, the better team. Stoke have been very up and down this season. Obviously they're buoyant after the Chelsea win, but most teams are beating Chelsea now, so I don't think that's necessarily a confidence boost. And there's no one else I would particularly highlight in this game. It's just that I don't know. I think a lot of people have actually bought in Pella now. His value's got up to 8.5, and I think it's a case of being realistic. So, Pella naturally does get points, and Southampton have a wide range of players who can get points. Look at Mane, look at Tadic, you look at obviously Pella himself. You've got Stephen Davis now. He's been very much joining up the attack. So when you look at it in that way, there are players who have range of possibilities of getting points. So that's something to think about. Pele doesn't take set pieces or penalties. So I'm not trying to badmind Pele. He's actually in my team. It's more important to realise that how you kind of get players from certain teams and look at the fixtures, because that's one thing that's very important. Yeah. And in regards to the Stoke players and individuals, look, the players will be pretty much same as to what they played against Chelsea. There isn't any different news to mention really. Definitely in the offensive front. So yeah. In terms of the Swansea and Bournemouth game, now Bournemouth have actually shipped away quite a few goals the last few away games, and I think the issue is, do people think Swansea will turn a corner? Because I think they scored two at Villa Park, but otherwise they've been struggling to score goals, and it's no surprise that Shonen Gomez's values go down to all the way to 6.8. But I'll be surprised if they don't turn a corner. I do think they've had chances and been slightly unlucky. So Gomez is someone to look at 6.8, and yeah. So I do think, I actually do think this could go either way, Swansea or Bournemouth. But if Swansea were to get the result, it would be big for them. West Brom and Arsenal, that's the last 3 o'clock game. Yeah, I still think Arsenal probably should win this game, but we can't say anything because West Brom obviously lost the game against United. We'll be disappointed. I think Bellerin should have a great chance to probably get something for them, and maybe Tony Pulis will approach this game, even though they're home, as a defensive team. So definitely gives them a chance to maybe get something. And yeah, in terms of any news of injuries and stuff, I know Bellerin is back for Arsenal. Um, there are some other injury issues, but nothing of mass importance because I don't think many people have Chamberlain in their team, and Chamberlain's not back in the first team yet. So yeah, in terms of the last Saturday game, that's Man City and Liverpool. And look, I think with Aguero coming back, City will get stronger, but they still have injury issues. Nasri looks like he's quite long term actually. Company's still out, Silva's still out, and I guess it depends. I mean, look, what we've seen so far from Liverpool, it's been very topsy and turvy. We've seen them beat Chelsea away. Like I said, does it mean much? But we've seen them, against Palace. I expected Palace to beat them at Anfield, which exactly happened. So, taking all of that consideration, you have to, I think, in my opinion, favour Man City for this game. But if Liverpool were to really impose themselves, then we can start to understand if Jurgen Klopp is really having an effect. But I think even he knows the players that he's got at the moment with the injuries, that's definitely a problem. Especially, I mean, Sturridge at the moment is not fully fit by the sounds of it, and I think that's a big blow for Liverpool. Lastly, with the Sunday games, we've got Spurs and West Ham, which should be a good game. But I think Spurs are a better team now, especially with Payet's injury. It's a massive blow for West Ham, and it wouldn't surprise me now to see West Ham really go down in places in the table, unfortunately, because Payet was that good of a player for them. So, and Spurs on the other hand, a lot of raving reviews in regards to Dele Alli, and rightly so. I think he in fact, if you watched a lot of the highlights from like League One, he was always involved. Like he was always getting goals and assists. So it doesn't surprise you to see that how he's playing right now. I think it's a case of for him to learn and consistently perform at the top level. That can only come with time. Some players are not gifted to do that straight away at a young age. Very few players have actually achieved that. So I think it's very important for him to stay level-headed. In terms of fantasy, he's not a player I actually recommend, even though his value very low. Unless if you've got like £5 to £6 million to invest, there are players out there that I would rather look at than Dele Alli. But if you have a very inclination towards him, then yeah, he's not the worst player to look at because he does get involved in the box for a lot of crosses and stuff. So he's someone to look at, but overall, probably not the most wisest transfer to get in fantasy. And lastly, the Palace and Sunderland game, which actually is a Monday night game. Sorry. Yeah, I think that Palace will win this game. I think they've been performing not so well until the Liverpool game, and since they won that, I think they will turn it around. And Sunderland, for me, still have problems which can't be fixed overnight, and definitely can't be fixed during the international break, in my opinion. So that's my rough assessment of the fixtures for this game week. In terms of my team, look, I haven't done much at the moment, and you guys have seen my team before, so yeah, I mean, I'm most likely will be doing something maybe in the next few minutes before I actually go to sleep. So yeah, back to the point regarding Pella. So, I mean, the thing is, essentially, a lot of people have bought him now. In a way, they follow basically the trend, which was people getting Pella when he got points. Now he hasn't been getting, that many great points. I think It's got a bunch of twos and ones, and then a six, and I think it's a case of just being aware that I'm not really a fan of people buying players based on the last 4 game weeks. It's important to look at when they've really got big points, like people like Suarez come to mind, Sanchez come to mind, in Premier League history. But you can't put Pella in that bracket. So it's very important not to follow the trend, because we've seen that with Martial. People who bought Martial are definitely, I'm pretty sure they will feel bad about it because his value's gone down. He's hardly got that many points. He's either been maximum getting an assist, and there were frankly better players out there you could have got instead of Martial. So for that same value or less. So really, in the day, you don't want to follow the markets or the trend in terms of which players are being bought in the most. At the end of the day, you do your research and you probably find a better player to get. Similarly with Gomez value was think skyrocketing to like 7.5, and now synced all the way down to 6.8. But now's not a bad time to get him. So in a way, when players' value go down because of injuries or suspensions, etc., sometimes it's worth looking at them and thinking, do you actually think the next set of results are very good? And the last point I want to make is, so when you want to get a player in, I think I've mentioned this before, but you don't want to look at the fixture list for the next 10 game weeks, because let's be honest, you will have enough opportunities during the next game weeks to change things, depending on the kind of philosophies you have on how long you're willing to give players chances in your team. But you don't need to look that far ahead. End of the day, you want to kind of look at the next, I would say, max 5 to 6 fixtures, and make a decision around that. And also, when you think of that, you need to think, end of the day, you can only put 11 on the pitch and some bench players, so you don't want to kind of pick players. Like, let's say you got all 5 great defenders with great fixtures coming up. Be realistic with your formation as well, and take that into consideration when getting players in. So that's my pre-game week video, and I wish you guys all luck for this upcoming game week.